So yeah, I know what a lot of you are thinking right now, and no, you're not wrong. What you're seeing is me doing something that for a long time I never thought I would do or get the chance to do. But at this stage in my life, this was something that I decided that if I don't do this now, I'll never get another chance. And so a few weeks ago in Toronto, I had the opportunity to kill two bucket list birds with one stone, if you will. For the first time ever, I got the opportunity to do cosplay. And I did so as a character that, given the convention that I was at, I thought was rather appropriate. So, I got the opportunity to cosplay as Sailor Jupiter from Sailor Moon. And if you're someone who's followed my channel for a long time, which I know isn't really a lot of you, but if you ever have, you're probably thinking to yourself, that doesn't make much sense. And you're right, but I'll take the opportunity to explain why I chose to cosplay as Sailor Jupiter at this particular convention. But first, greetings people of the world, Matthias Griffin back with you for a little special video, a little look back at the Anime North convention of 2022, which was recently completed in Toronto, Canada. This was a convention that I had the opportunity to go to for the first time back in 2006, but I didn't go back to it again until 3 years ago to help out with a charity function that was also taking place at the same time. Now, this is a convention that, when I went to it the last time, it was pretty much exactly what I expected. A lot of people dressed in cosplay, and quite a few of them had the opportunity to wield weapons that seemed to get bigger and bigger and bigger as I got to see more of them, which is not surprising. Anime is known for its massive weaponry, especially in the 90s and 2000s. And so this was a convention that it was really great to get back to, and I had the opportunity to take this chance to cosplay for the first time. It was something that I really wanted to do, and I'm really glad I did. And it turned out that it worked out really well, because as I went through the con, it turns out that Sailor Jupiter is actually very popular. I was surprised to see that when I was going along, there were as many people dressed as her as there were Sailor Moon herself. So I guess that shows you just how popular the character is, and I guess I chose right, because it was really cool to be able to not only get to meet all these people who really liked the character, but also who dressed as her, including a couple of people who I did not expect I would see wearing the particular outfit, but hey, it was really cool to still see it just the same. And of course, being that it's a con, you'll see the usual things you'll see at a con. You'll see the giant marketplaces with all the various little trinkets and things that are you usually find at a convention. Pictures, jewelry, various keepsakes, artwork. The place has a huge marketplace for where this convention takes place, and a lot of people take advantage of it. And there are a lot of events that take place at night that I didn't get to go and check out myself, because one of the other things that this convention did, and this was something that, having been away from it for so long, I didn't really know about, but I guess it was more of a recent addition, is the fact that in addition to all the markets that are going on at Anime North, they have at the hotel that's located across the street a whole bunch of conference rooms where they were airing various types of anime, including the rebooted Sailor Moon Crystal. And so it was cool to check that out, because it was really amazing to see just how different the Sailor Moon Crystal anime is from the 90s original. But I'll get more of that in a moment. So, on top of seeing that, there were a whole bunch of other anime that I got to see, and it really motivated me to do something that I had not done yet, but I'd wanted to do for a long time as well, which was get a Crunchyroll subscription. So I have that now, and so now I can see more of the episodes and see more of the shows that I got to see at all these screenings that were taking place at the con that I would not have otherwise gotten to see. So now that I've explained how I got to go to Anime North and being able to do all these things that were really a lot of fun and I really enjoyed all of it, I need to talk about why I dressed as Sailor Jupiter. But while I'm doing that, you may have noticed that I only have a few shots of myself dressed as Sailor Jupiter because my camera, for whatever reason, lost a lot of its functionality. As a result, I was only able to get some of the files, some of the pictures that you are seeing, and most of the other stuff was corrupted because I guess, maybe not too much of a surprise, my camera is 12 years old, so I think it's about time that I got myself a new one, and so I just recently got one that also doubles as kind of a GoPro, as it were. So while I'm talking about why I chose Sailor Jupiter as a cosplay, to fill out the rest of the time, here's some stock photos of the various different types of cosplay that people were wearing at Anime North that I've found online. If you know what most of these characters are, please post in the comments and tell me who and what I'm looking at, who and what I'm showing off, and help me out a little. I know that a lot of these, some of these are very popular, but there are also a lot of anime cosplay that is going to go over my head because I'm not familiar with it, so post in the comments and let me know. So, let's get down to business. Why I chose to cosplay as Sailor Jupiter. Now, like I said, if you've known my channel for a long time, you'll know that one of the things that I have expounded on way back when I first started getting into doing Let's Plays was a bit of a disappointment with the original 90s anime, because when we first got to see the English dubs of the anime over here in North America, they were already building it up like crazy over here. They already had the commercials for the Sailor Moon action figures, and they were already talking up how much of a big, cool, awesome show this was. This was a really cool superhero show from Japan that you had to see. And in my situation, I was in my freshman year of high school when the English dub of Sailor Moon debuted. And when I got home, my mother was running a daycare out of her home at this time. And so my responsibility when I got home was to watch over the older children who were being taken care of the daycare until their parents came and get them. So one of the requirements was that you had to leave on the children's TV channel that we had at the time, and in Canada we only had one. It's the Canadian version of Nickelodeon, as it were. So a lot of the Nickelodeon shows that were on in the US would air on the Canadian television channel for kids. We didn't get the Canadian equivalent of Cartoon Network until a couple of years later, and there was a Canadian version of Disney Channel, but it really didn't become that until a few years later. And it was also only available as a pay-per-view channel at the time. But this channel that Sailor Moon was on basic cable. So they were really hyping up Sailor Moon as a really cool show that you needed to see. But as I had the opportunity to watch the show while I was taking care of all these kids, I noticed that this character that they were really hyping up, the title character, was not what I was expecting. I mean, we saw the opportunity in the anime to see the origin story of the character, and that's something that has not happened much in terms of movies and television prior to this. We did have some that actually showed off origin stories. In the movies, we had the Superman movie from the 70s show off his origin story. And then just before Sailor Moon came out, we had on television the origin story for the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So we had seen them, but they weren't common, let's just say. And so when I got to see Sailor Moon, I was kind of a bit shocked because this is a character that they were really hyping up as an amazing character, but yet it seemed like she was anything but. She really turned out to be something that I was disappointed by. I could understand the origins of the character, that she was not going to be a hero right out of the gate. She wasn't going to be acting all heroic-like, but as the show went on, I was expecting some semblance of character development. I was expecting her to grow. I was expecting her to shake off the basically become more than what she was as far as a character, other than just being revealed that we've been looking for this moon princess, but it turns out I was looking for myself the entire time. It also didn't help that I was expecting her, in terms of being a fighter, to be more assertive as the show went on, because it seemed like she was having everyone else do the fighting for her, and then she would only come in after the enemy had been weakened. So, and on top of that, she only really had one move that she could really do, and that was basically the finishing blow. It was like, it really made me feel disappointed that this was a character that was really hyped up, but it seemed that she was nothing more than this ditzy dumb blonde who only actually fought after everyone else had done all the dirty work for her, whether it was the other sailors or Tuxedo Mask, and it really was a disappointment. And it didn't help that in Canada, we only got to see to the point where Chibiusa had come into the show, but they stopped airing new episodes before she was revealed as a sailor herself. So as a result, for 2 years, we only really got to see the same character for Sailor Moon, that she really hadn't changed. She hadn't really grown or developed as a character, and that made me equally disappointed and frustrated. The show itself was really cool to look at. All the moves were flashy, all the transformations were really cool, but seeing her still being who she was, and I didn't even get to the fact that she was usually trading barbs with Sailor Mars, that certainly didn't help. Also, by the way, it certainly felt awkward that the voice actress for Sailor Mars also shares my last name, so yeah, #awkward. But yeah, it was so disappointing that we never really got to see a true growth of the Sailor Moon character. And so after 2 years, Sailor Moon was eventually phased out, Dragon Ball Z came in, and then Pokemon came not long after. So for many years, I always was disappointed that this was a show that they really were hyping, but the lead character was such a letdown. And it took about a decade and a half for me to find a moon-oriented character out there in the media that I could really appreciate. And that came when I started playing White Knight Chronicles on PS3. It was one of my first Let's Plays, and if you've never seen it, I'd certainly encourage you to do so. Both versions of the game, if you can, if you're willing to put in the time for it. Some of the videos, for some reason, they were glitched on YouTube, and even when I tried to re-upload them, they still appeared as glitched, so I never understood why that happened, but I'm getting off topic here. So while Sailor Moon as a character was a big disappointment for me, I was able to gain appreciation from some of the other sailors. I appreciated Mercury's intellect, I appreciated how Sailor Venus was a strong character in her own right and how she had her fancy moves, but then there was Sailor Jupiter, and when I saw her, there were some things that drew me to her right away. First of the fact was that she was the tall version. She was the tall member of the Sailor Scout team, and that was something that I could gravitate to right away because anyone who knows me knows how tall I am, and it was always made a point to show how tall I was when I was in school, and in some cases it was beneficial for my class to have it point out that I was tall. And in one instance, when my class was doing a take on the Three Little Pigs for a Christmas pageant, guess who got to play the role of the Big Bad Wolf? Yeah, this guy. So it was something that when Sailor Jupiter was revealed in the story that I could gravitate towards that, but it wasn't just that. It wasn't just about how tall she was. It was also what colors she was wearing when she became Sailor Jupiter. The forest green that she was wearing was something that I could also gravitate to because of the fact that the forest green that she wore is also the same color that is the main color of my high school sports team, so it's hard to not be able to gravitate towards something like that. And then there was the fact that she also has my features as well. To an extent, she has the brown hair and green eyes that I do, so that was something else I could also appreciate. And also on top of that, there was the fact that when she is transforming, that the symbol on her transformation device is the number 4, which for me is pretty significant because I am the 4th child in my family, and the number 4 has actually played a very significant role in my life. It's been a facet in a lot of things that I've done that have been very positive, so Sailor Jupiter having the number 4 as her symbol on her transformation device, as well as the fact that she was the 4th revealed sailor, certainly helped too. And so, even though Sailor Moon was not something that I could really appreciate as a character, Sailor Jupiter was the one that I always could respect and appreciate. And then there was the one episode that really made me gain a real deep appreciation for her, and that's it's in an episode where a friend of hers, the male friend of hers, gets attacked by the episode's monster, and he needs a blood transfusion. And Sailor Jupiter is the one to give him said blood transfusion. And so even after that, she's weak from giving her blood to help out her friend, yet she's still willing to go out there and do what has to be done. And it's like, she is such an impressive character. It was hard not to be able to cheer for her because I was, for many years, always thinking to myself, man, if Sailor Moon just had some of the courage that Sailor Jupiter had, maybe I'd have more of an appreciation for her. But you know how I feel about that, so Sailor Jupiter was a really cool character that I could really appreciate for so many reasons. And as I've gotten older, I was in a point where I thought to myself, wouldn't it be cool if I could actually cosplay as her? And so that's exactly what I did earlier this year. I got the opportunity to get the costume from Amazon, and I got well, I didn't get everything. Some of the stuff was unfortunately in limbo and did not get to me until after the con, but I did make sure that what I did have, I made the most of it. And so for me to play Sailor Jupiter, to cosplay as her, I'm really glad that I did, and it really was so much fun. And I really hope that when the next set of cons comes out in Toronto, because there are a few more coming later this year, especially during the summer, that I can do this more. And I'll try and keep doing it for as much as I can, and I'll keep doing it for as long as I'm able to, until time basically says, okay, you've done this enough, it's time to move on. And so as long as I'm able to keep cosplaying as Sailor Jupiter, that's exactly what I'll do, because I certainly got a lot of love from the people at Anime North that I did, and I'll just keep doing it for as long as possible. So that is my take on Anime North and why I chose to cosplay as Sailor Jupiter, because she is one of the best characters I've ever seen in the anime genre, and it's hard not to appreciate a character that I have so many similarities to. So I hope that all of you enjoyed this, and I hope that all of you enjoyed me dressed up as Sailor Jupiter. And I will certainly, once I have this new camera situation resolved, I'll definitely try and make it a point to show myself off in costume more. And I hope that you'll all enjoy those videos when they go up, and we'll see how it'll unfold. So thanks everyone for watching my little spiel on this particular situation, and I hope you all enjoyed it. So until next time, everyone, may you ever walk in the light of the crystal. And I guess in the case of Sailor Moon, that would be the silver crystal.